What's up, math scholars and math haters? This is Mr. W. Today we're going to tackle question 30 in the 5th grade math questions that North Carolina released this past school year. The question tells us that Alyssa walked 1 3/4 fewer miles than Emily, and that Alyssa walked 2 56 miles. And we're trying to figure out how many miles did Emily walk. Now, the key skills for this problem are going to be translating and also adding decimals. So I'm going to start with my translating, and I'm going to look at this word fewer. And I'm going to remind myself that if I say fewer, if I see fewer or less or smaller or something like that, any of those words tell me that I need to start by writing a subtraction math sentence. Specifically, if Alyssa walked 1 3/4 fewer miles than Emily, since Emily is here on the right side of then, I know that Emily is going to be my bigger number, and Emily minus my fewer number equals how far Alyssa walked. Now that I have my sentence that I've written out with words, I'm going to go ahead and translate by plugging in some of the numbers. So for Emily, the question is asking how many miles did Emily walk. So we don't know how far Emily walked yet. But we do know that Emily minus Alyssa walked 1 3/4 fewer miles. So I'll write my 1 3/4 here in place of fewer, equals, and it also tells us that Alyssa walked 2 56 miles. Now, if you've seen the videos that I've done so far, you might be wondering why I do this translating work so often. I translate like this because it keeps myself from getting confused. If I have a specific process where I see words that cue me into addition or subtraction, and if I go through that process of writing out my sentence with words and plugging in some of the numbers that I know and don't know, that's going to keep me from getting confused on a question like this, because I could just as easily think that this is 2 56 minus 1 34. I would go through the work of that problem and I would get choice A, but that would not be the right answer. That would be a trick answer. So that's why I do this translating, to make sure that I'm going through the problem in the same way so it's familiar and so that I know that I'm getting everything correct as I do it. But now, since I know that something that's unknown right now, minus 1 3/4 equals 2 56, I'm going to break out my fact family tricks, and I'm going to say that 2 56 plus 1 34 is going to equal that unknown number. And it's at this point that I just need to go ahead and try to add up these decimals. And I'm not going to do this with the calculator because I haven't gone through this process in many other problems. So I'm just going to do it here. It will not take that long. 2 56 plus 1 34 equals what? All right, so I start with my hundredths place. 6 hundredths plus 4 hundredths equals 10 hundredths, also known as 0 hundredths and 1/10. 1/10 plus 5/10 plus 3/10 equals 9/10. 2 whole numbers plus 1 whole equals 3 wholes. So I end up with 3 90 also known as 3 9/10, which matches my answer of D. So my answer for this problem is D. Emily walked 3 9/10 miles.